but feel free to talk. As always. Because why would YouTube allow you to set meaningful default settings? Huh? Very odd. Very, very odd. Very, 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 very odd. Ooh, we got one person on the old Twitch and one on YouTube. And we have a snoring dog. What? Sorry, I moved. I moved, my lord. I moved. Yeah, here's more blanket. Cuddle, sleep. There we go. Good morning, Chomper. I'm doing as well as can be. And yourself? I hope you're doing well. Okay. Actually, I wanted to Google something quickly. What dog? Got too much blanket. Okay. Worse than a cat. Good morning, Kyle, or evening, or whatever it may be for you, and I'm glad you enjoy the content. Oh, there is a way. Tools and no, that's Filmora. Okay. Where are we going? References. References. I can figure out what that is. References. Audio. Normalized to volume. Save. I think that works. Audio. Okay. I think that's the audio normalized now for the songs, hopefully. But we shall see. No, it's not too bad, Chomper. Good morning, Shadow. Tony. Hope you both are doing well. And Lord Volpex. Yes, it is a Knut. And all anagrams of Knut. So, here's a funny thing with Knut. And the anagram for Knut. There's a fridge brand in Portugal. I don't know whether it's entire Europe or whatever. And it's Comft. It's going well. It's going well. So, this one's a bit big. But we are probably going to be moving into a smaller one in September. Smaller house, hopefully bigger garden. Good morning, Anthony. So, yeah, we will have a look around to see what's what. Very difficult to pick up a property or choose a property when you can't go and see them. But now that we're here, we can. So that's the current plan. Today we are doing a bunch of re-TFOS and a bunch of TFOS. A bunch of short stories. It's KUMFT. Comfort. I just keep telling my wife that I'm pronouncing the F when it should be a silent F. Yes. Oh, with a K instead of a C, but basically that, yeah. Sure, not a problem, Chomper, but we're not doing series today. We're just doing the TFOS. I hope you have a great day. Sorry, I got a dog falling asleep on my hand. There you go, man. So, any snoring? The cuck. Yeah, that works too. Coffee, water. We're good. Just need to make sure I don't have to stretch too far to get them. Otherwise, I keep bumping the microphone. And we got some audio coming through. Oh, yeah. Still knocking the rust off the old vocal cords, as happens every morning. And the best way to knock some rust off is to do the thing. Yeah, it's doing okay. Much better since the operation. Less pain. A bit more temperamental, but less pain. But such is the nature of things. I think I've also got a wider range these days, since the operation. But yeah, I think we're fully recovered from the surgery and raring to go. But there are so many factors on what affects my voice these days, so it's not that simple. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest narration. Well, yes, I did. It's fully soundproofed now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some things so it makes it easier when we move. Just to move the studio as well. But half the battle was having enough stuff to do the thing. Which we've got now, so shouldn't be a problem. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Read Team Fast, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Safety Tax, written by Harazone. Well, Carl, I would have to get the author's permission, so that sometimes that can be tricky. But I will keep an eye out for it. Excuse me. Ferrari was really annoyed by these paranoid humans. He didn't understand why they kept asking for identification, like in every single sector of their territory. Bureaucratic stuff like these would drive you crazy. But the thing that was the entire spare But the thing was that their entire space was insanely huge, even bigger than the mighty Well, I haven't got EU citizenship yet. It's a many-year process. So, the process is I get a visa to come here. Then we talk to some people and I get a residency for 2.5 years. And then in 2.5 years we have another conversation and I get another residency for 2.5 years. And then once I've been here for 5 years, I can apply for citizenship. Write some tests, fill some paperwork out, and get Portuguese citizenship. Only then will I be a proper EU citizen. Currently, I'm not even a Portuguese resident. The department that sorts this stuff out is overwhelmed, so they're running at a backlog. But the thing was that their entire territory. But the thing was that their entire space was insanely huge, even bigger than the mighty hierarchy. They covered the zone between the hierarchy and the union. Nobody wanted to mess with them. Either you went through them or you went around them and bankrupt yourself due to the high traveling cost and distance. They realized the fact and took advantage of the situation. According to the news, the humans with their massive military had pressured the trade union by slapping nuts safety taxes on all cargoes that go into their space. The hierarchy had to accept the offer, either that or going to war. But everything had its price. The hierarchy valued high-quality goods that were produced from the union's best citizens more than the other industrialized stuff made by the humans. He was one of those first brave guys who dared to take a risk of being in a chaotic, crazy, and mysterious human space for months to deliver the best hierarchy products. And if he made it all the journey, and back, he would be drowning in galactic trading credits. Unlike all these myths about their race, the humans were actually very polite, aside from the annoying checking routines. They did collect taxes, just like the official description of them. They didn't talk much, and they were willing to leave him alone as long as he followed their flight path. There is something fishy about this that he couldn't nail on. They were way too polite. Anyways, it seems like the humans were bluffing about their actual space. His ship had just passed the real border of their territory. There was a vast region of no advanced indications. There was a There was a vast region of no advanced indications of any advanced civilizations in front of him. Not a single ship or millions of unfiltered communications. Not a single ship or millions of unfiltered commercial FTL spamming floating manager. Good morning, Anami. Hope you're doing well. And I'm glad the content helps. I really am. What's my microphone doing? Sorry. Hello. There we go. I can hear me better. I might have to turn the microphone down on your side, but I can hear me better, which helps. Yes, way too loud. There we go. That should be better. In front of no advanced indication of no, it's a bit too sensitive. Testing, that's better. Problem is the cat messes around on the table. It bumps the dials, which can quite easily change volume levels. Excuse me. There was a vast region. It seems like the humans were bluffing about their actuals. Humans were bluffing. His ship had passed the real border of their territory. There was a vast region of no advanced indications of any advanced civilizations in front of him. Not a single ship saw millions of unfiltered commercial FTL spamming messages floating, which most of them told him to sign up for scammy surveys on his communications console. Still a very long way from the Union, but it was definitely better. He rested his front antennae peacefully as his ship began to drop out of FTL to commit auto repairs. Trade Union vessel, state your indication. Well, probably not. Tony, probably not. But we'll see. Hasn't happened yet. Repairs. Trade Union vessel, state your identification. An unknown voice popped up in the communication console. The caffeine fairy has dropped off some caffeine. And sweeties. Okay, she stole a sweetie tax. She put sweeties on my desk and then took some back. Which I suppose is fair enough. Trade Union vessel, state your identification. An unknown voice popped up from the communications console. All of his 3 antennae rose up immediately. He turned his 4th eyes to scanning terminal. No ship appeared on the screen, not even the photonic scanner. But how could they? A different alien race who had super stealth tech, even better technology than the humans. I'm so dead right now. I can only hope that they were pacifist. I repeat, Trade Union vessel. Please take your... Please take Please state your identification. If you don't comply, we will open fire. Yes, whoever this is, I will comply immediately. He quickly pressed the send button. A dead silence between the 2 ships. His right antenna spun stressfully. It seems like you're carrying human terrorists on board. Prepare to be boarded or you will be destroyed. What? This is ridiculous. How could a peaceful trader like him... How could a peaceful trader like him is willing... How could a peaceful trader like him think that he was... How could a peaceful trader like him be willing? How could a peaceful trader like him be willing to carry a human, not to mention a human, terrorist? He remembered clearly his mother's words when he left his home for his first wife, who eventually dumped him. At this very moment, he will die. He will die alone in the middle of nowhere, get stripped of all his belongings, and he is going to beg for his mother. Even the trade union's president is not going to save him from this burning crap. Well then, I would rather gamble for my life than getting blown up, he thought, as he unlocked all of the airlocks of the ship. He could hear the sound of aliens storming through every corner of his ship. The sound was getting louder as they moved closer to the bridge. He could see the aliens are about to enter the bridge on camera console. Now all the antennae were spinning non-stop. I remember you telling me to do stuff I was going to do anyway. Really. Good morning, Phoenix Paul Mobile. Hope you're doing well. Now all the antennae was spinning non-stop. Now all the antennae were spinning non-stop. I have not. It's a bit of a pain to get on there. Yeah, also I have to be a US or British citizen to actually work on ACX. But seeing as I do have my British citizency, I can. But it does mean I have to pay tax in UK as well. Now all the internal... Now all... non-stop. Now all the... Now all... Where am I? I've lost my place. Now all of the antennas were spinning non-stop. A group of what? Bipedal aliens. Some coincidence. Two rival races with the same method of locomotion. All of them were wearing black merch suits. All of them were wearing black mech suits with extra deadly weapons equipped on them. One of them seems to be commander of the group that was ordering people around. It walked slowly to him, along with another soldier who was presumably the executive officer. Both of them looked at him curiously, he guessed, or they were both about to rip his skin out. I have no idea what you're talking about, Tony, but if you're talking about the Highlander tier, I'm not sure what you're referencing. Or they were... Because I created that the same day that I created Patreon. He guessed. Curiously. Both of them looked at him curiously, he guessed. Or they were both about to rip his skin out alive. Please have mercy on my soul. I have a wife and kids at home, and I am their only hope for a better life at home. Look, I know that you and the humans have a complicated history, but I had nothing to do with it. I swear I'm just a poor... To his surprise, both of them turned their heads to each other and let out a creepy alien sound through their helmets. Each translator couldn't make sense of the action. Their face and brain were covered. Their face and brain are covered in thick armor, so they couldn't read anything aside from their face and brain are covered in thick armor, so couldn't read anything aside from the weird body language they made. The commanding alien moved one of its manipulating limbs to cover a part of its face. They both uncovered their face. They both uncovered their face. The mechanical movements kicked in, and the aliens' faces were slowly revealed. "Is this some sort of trickery?" He screamed so loud and felt so confused right now. "Look at his surprised facial features. Look at his surprised facial expression. It resembles ours so much. My God, their resemblance is uncanny." She let out a sound which was recognized as laughing. How do I... How? I don't understand. I thought I passed human space. Oh, so they never told you that? These inhuman enhancers? She stopped laughing and asked him with a very... These inhuman enhancers. She stopped laughing and asked him with a very similar surprise face to face. These inhuman enhancers. She stopped laughing and asked him with a very similar surprised face to his race. Told me what? You just passed through one of 23 human states. My state is called the Soul Coalition. The other guy who you went through was actually our enemy, the independent state of the Free Enhancer, aka ISFE. Well, they were not exactly the friendly type. We found traces of ISFE's technology on your ship, the exo-female told him. My holy mother, 23 states crawling with humans. He must have been the worst nightmare of his life. I don't know anything about those technologies, and I'm definitely not spying guy. And I'm definitely not a spying guy. And wait, what? How can you have that many intersections? How can you have that many interspecies intergalactic states? That is absurd. Most races didn't even reach 3. With that kind of diversity, no race would be able to withstand outside forces. Interspecies diversity is a weakness. Well, humanity is quite different. We used to have like hundreds of states on our homeworld. It was the competitiveness that drove our species to rise above others. The human commander answered his question. This is madness. He couldn't comprehend how in the hell could a species think diversity is their power. Hundreds of states. Now, where are we? Now, where were we? Okay. Lucky for you, the only thing that related to the ISFE on board your ship is the spy bugs they installed secretly. You're free to go, the commander said as her exo gave her a pad. You were lucky that they decided to alter your course en route. You were lucky that they decided to alter your course en route to spy on us, and not the Union of Cyborg. They would execute you for the crime against their state. His antennas spun a little bit. And we have decided that you would spy them for us. And we have decided that you would spy them for us, as we alter your course to travel through cyborg space. Now they spun faster than ever. Aha, gotcha. They are actually our political ally, as both of them laughed, and by now it was recognized as a translator's humor. These humans are fucking nuts. This is their humor. He raised his antennae to express his gratitude and was relieved by not getting sent to a suicide mission. His third heart almost stopped working. Not so quick. Safety tax. We began to regret many life decisions that led to this factory of human madness. End of story. What do we have? We have a KitKat. Nom nom KitKat. But more importantly, well, not necessarily more importantly, but more relevant for right now. Oop, wrong color. I think we can quickly head on to the next story. Should be 216. 216. Dog has just fallen asleep on my arm. If I move it out. No, I like change. I like the white chocolate ones, actually. More than the normal ones, but it's not saying that I don't like the normal ones. However, if we're going with just pure KitKat, I'd say the peanut butter KitKat is the best one. But that is just my opinion. And some muscle relaxants for my neck. I don't like it too often, but I like it from time to time. Fair enough, Kira. Fair enough. But, I mean, the peanut butter one wasn't even a normal KitKat. It was like more of a chocolate bar. And then it was a KitKat bar. Still definitely one of my top chocolates. Very similar to Reese's Pieces. Okay, we're going to move on to the next story. We've got quite a few to do today, but all of them are relatively short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 more stories to do. But we are powering through them. All right. Greetings, ladies and metal gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Greetings, ladies and metal gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Retifus, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, death and taxes, or taxes and then death, whichever one you prefer. Good morning, Kandaria. Hope you're doing well today. Night or evening or morning or time unit. Let's go with time unit. To modern audio. This particular story is called It's a Human, written by You Sure I'm Not a Robot.
It's a human? Asked the medic. We never had one of those before.
Its ID listed as a human. Might be more than one kind, I guess, replied the nursing brood.
Is it broken? I'll have to research this. Is it supposed to look like that? Poor thing is all skin. Did it lose its fur? It's only just scraps left.
The nursing brood brought out the ID. I think that was what it's always looked like. The pity was evident in its voice. As sane? Well, nothing too exciting with that. I was struggled quite a bit with aggression early on in my life, so that's the aggro. And squirrel comes from the movie Up. So in the movie Up, the dogs would stop suddenly, whatever they were doing, and then go, squirrel, So me and my friends used to call that a squirrel moment. And seeing as I do take a winding path through conversations and have quite a few squirrel moments, it became aggro squirrel. So, there you go. Ooh, yawn. The pity was evident. The medic wiped the human's face. There is a lot of liquid. I'll need to analyze it. She inserted the swab into her mouth.
It's a saline solution, trace minerals, also some form of plasma, an aftertaste of decaying cell structure, iron rich.
Oh, fuck. It's on drugs, adrenaline, industrial cleaner. She vomited up the contents of her third stomach. The nurse grabbed her equipment quickly, spraying the I don't know. I haven't really looked for dark chocolate KitKats. Stomach. Although I'm not a particularly big fan of dark chocolate, so I don't really pay that much attention to it. We have a truce. I ignore it. It ignores me. It's a good truce. She vomited up. The nurse grabbed her equipment, quickly spraying the counter-agent to adrenaline on the medic.
Please hold on. This will reduce the effects. Stay calm. It didn't have time to reach your hearts.
The medic gripped the floor with every appendage. It felt like her carapace was about to burst. Finally, she could speak.
I want this room sealed. I want everyone warned to stay away, and I want everything we know about humans on my datapad right now. Contact the port. They must have met this species before. Why is it here anyway? What happened? Is it poisonous? Is it the poisons? I'm sorry, it was delivered by the security team. Apparently there was a serious accident in the night quarter. It was involved, but I don't know how more about It was involved. It was involved, but I don't know more until it...
Fair enough. Fair enough. Typos do have a tendency of staying with you. Like, say, for instance, the incorrect aggro in aggro squirrels. So the aggro that I have is agricultural, not aggressive. But hey, own it, live it, laugh at it.
It was involved, but I don't know more until they report back to us. They thought it was dead.
The nurse turned back to the patient. The human was on a medical bed that was several inches too short. Its garments were torn apart, covered in grime of an accident. Or was it always like that? Many addicts look rough. It shook its head. You can never tell with aliens. They could have a
It could be a mating ritual. It often was. Her musings were interrupted by movement. The human turned itself over, groaned, and released poisonous gas throughout the room. Alerts began screaming. The lights switched to orange warning pulse, and the doors began sealing. The shriek of the machines drove the pair from the room. It sealed tightly behind them. The now disgruntled medic was watching through the cameras. Bio-decontamination involved a lot of scrubbing. Her datapad had no information about human biology, simply an instruction to inform the human government and the ship it had arrived in. Her nurse had demanded sick leave and hazard pay. Now the ward was quarantined. The human just lay on the bed, occasionally making unpleasant noises. Her new nurse was built like a tank. It had been seconded from the... seconded. It had been seconded from the psych ward. She didn't know the species, but from the size of it, it could remove the human easily. Yeah, I suppose I am vaguely homesteading, so yes. Turn your life around so that your weird nickname makes sense. And then makes sense. It's the human condition, I suppose. Fake it till you make it. Easily. She had authorized the medbots to approach the human. A medical team was being assembled, gathering the best consultants the planet had. Someone had mentioned biowarfare, and that got things moving. The monitoring continued. Occasionally the human would release more poison. The medbots reported that the human seemed to be in a respiratory failure. Its breathing had become intermittent, interrupted by loud exclamations and what may have been speech. After a serious expense of medical experts, the medic was summoned. We think the poison might be a defector. We think the poison might be a defense measure. It's obviously injured. The drugs it consumed may be making it worse. From the sound it's making, it is in distress. We need to examine it closer, but be careful. It may be hostile. The medbots approached carefully. They began putting restraints on the visible limbs of the human, all 5 of them. The first two passed simply enough. Then things went downhill. The human woke up, and on seeing the 2 medbots rearranging things they probably shouldn't have, it hurled both the bots into the wall, shouting in rage. The monitors reported that adrenaline was now increasing exponentially in the room. The human began unstrapping its limbs. The medic had thought that it couldn't get worse. Now the creature was attacking. She had no idea where it had concealed its drugs, but now it was a monster. The levels of adrenaline in the room would kill a hive mind. She had one option left. Her nurse had been sealed into the finest biowarfare equipment the hospital could provide. It walked into a ward and opened fire with the best stunner the psych ward had. The human, still tangled in the straps and sheets, took bolt after bolt. Apparently even more incensed, it seized the monitor beside it and threw it at the nurse. The final shot hit the human directly between the eyes, as did the monitor when it hit the nurse. Both of them collapsed. Security measures collapsed. Security was mostly paperwork around here, but the night quarter has its moments, thought the constable. Security was mostly paperwork around here, but the night quarter has its moments, thought the constable. Now he had to retrieve the body of the alien from the hospital. Sad, really, that it had died so far from home, but it would be treated with honor. He arrived to panic. Security demanded his ID, and when he mentioned who he was here to collect, he was hustled into a meeting room. From the sirens and air of panic, something was going on. The medic was first to reach him. But did you leave here? Aliens are one thing, but this is a monster. We had to close the whole place down. The constable shook his mandibles in confusion.
We left you a corpse. How is that dangerous?
The medic was screeching now. A corpse? That thing is alive, and enough... That thing is alive and on enough drugs to kill everything in this building. It just demolished my nurse and most of the equipment in its room, not to mention poisoning the place. Where is this creature from? The constable quickly read his report.
It's an engineer arrived yesterday, waiting for its new ship. It's a male, was drinking in the night quarter when there was an accident. A bad one. He recovered... A bad one. He recovered the wounded, then the vehicle exploded. We recovered his body, and then... He had been thrown 10 meters into a building. Of course he was dead.
That is not dead out here. That is not dead out there. Consider that medical opinion. Find me someone who can't sort this out. Find me someone who can sort this out. Otherwise the military will be here next.
Engineer Eels walked through the deserted hospital. It had been quite difficult to keep a straight face when security had explained the problem and showed him the recording. He had refused all the bioprotection gear, to the dismay of the medical staff. He sat beside the bed. His brand new engineer was snoring and farting happily. The stunner had, in the end, lost out to a long day on the beer. Engineer Schultz, wake up now. The googly-eyed human looked up.
Eels, what are you doing here?
He pushed himself up.
Where is here anyway? Sorry, I seem to have lost track of the night. Weird dreams. Am I due on board already?
Eels smiled.
No, you're fine. Just let me do the talking. Also, sincerely, what the feck were you eating yesterday?
Schultz growled.
I don't know. Local version of a kebab, I think. Well, don't eat another one. Come on, let's get you out to the ship. Apparently, you're a hero.
End of story. Doot-de-doot. Superpower kebab, yep. We shall have some KitKat chat. And here you'll see the ever-elusive KitKat, roaming in its natural environment with not a care in the world. But there is a predator hunting this particular cat. It knows not where it is, but it knows that one day it will be eaten, and there is nothing it can do about it. It stares across the plains of the KitKat meadows, hoping that it will live long enough to have... Nope, never. Good night, Paul. Thank you for popping past. Very much appreciated. And I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Tales for Insomnia. Leave it ambiguous. Either they're going to give you insomnia or they're going to remove your insomnia. 217, The Wrath of One. Yeah. Greetings, ladies and melogents, and welcome to this latest narration. Greetings, ladies and melogents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story, Greetings, ladies and melogents, and welcome to this latest edition of Re-Tifos, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called The Wrath of One, written by Spartan R259. Monster is fighting back. Good. Oop, a burp. It is an unusual thing, terror, causing a biological and psychological reaction that results in many forms of panic. Just to name a few: the inability to take any action, a severe compulsion to flee, falling in surrender, loss of phone, falling in surrender, loss of consciousness. But these are not in the nature of a predator. We cause this emotion in other beings, and yet are not prone to it. At least, that is what I had thought. We were entirely unprepared for what we created. Conquest is in our nature, in our blood. From the moment we took to the stars, we were the best. We determined those that were worthy of advancement and those that were not. Almost every race could contribute to our empire. Yet, when we first encountered them, they were nearly useless. Never the strongest, neither the smartest, not the longest lived, not the most inclined to govern. And of course they showed no propensity to replace our warriors. We annexed their planet, and so many others before. They took to the idea in stride, having yet to develop interstellar drives to propel them beyond their home star. And only just having developed sustainable artificial atmospheric processes. We granted them citizenship, but little else. They were given communications tech and told that they must develop interstellar travel on their own, and given their level of technology, its development was at least 200 of their years to come about. It was not long before some of our leadership found a place for these beings: practice. We discovered their natural ability to endure, able to be on the move for seemingly endless amounts of time. We chose to use them for hunting practice. I still don't know what our leadership expected to happen, even though we had long ago cast aside the base and brutal nature of carnivores, and had managed to forward civilization become of it. When we had started to indulge in that nature, the only outcome was fatal. It started out simply enough. They were asked for representatives to partake in competition, given the task of evasion, and those that managed to evade us for the allotted time were given rewards. It was a game at the start. Looking back, it is easy to understand the simplicity of it. We were hunters, predators, but it was kept a game. Even though we were hunting them, the means was far from lethal. A simple electronic device that delivers a shock to designate a capture. It was an elegantly designed device, designed to prevent harm to the subject, yet facilitate a capture. Designed for the law enforcement of the Empire, it was safe and guaranteed to leave no lasting effects on its victims. The games went on for years without any incident. The hunted, that was what the government called it. It became an empire-wide sport, with our finest being the hunters and those of soul being the hunted.
The events were holocast throughout the Empire. Bets around the event were common, and the outcome was never certain. The hunt succeeded, as often as it failed. The beings of soul were just as capable of running as we were capable of hunters. The beings of soul were just as capable of running as we were capable hunters. And then the turn happened. The hunters began to falter. The hunted began winning more and more. Eventually became a joke to be chosen hunter. The beings of soul, now calling themselves Terrans, were united in proving their superiority in this venture. To this day, I don't understand why the government didn't cancel the event. But as it was, things But as it was, things continued for a few more years. Then the accident happened. In an attempt to make the games interesting again, the hunted were allowed to accept juveniles into the event, citing their smaller size as advantageous to hiding overrunning. It was primed disaster waiting to happen. While Terran seniors are well-spoken, their young can be very rash. The moment came very quickly. The moment came quickly. The hunters captured a young Terran boy, probably around 12 to 14 years of age. He gave himself up laughing. The words spoken have been recorded into the annals for history. You big idiots don't understand it. You can't hope to beat a group of us. My dad is going to wipe the floor with you, and there is nothing you can do to change that. The insult was harsh, yet not unfounded. What happened next shocked the galaxy. One of the hunters lashed out at the young boy. His powerful arms and sharp talons ripped into him and threw him to the ground. The broadcast shut down almost instantly, but everyone knew what was likely to come. We waited to hear of the boy's demise, but it never came. The event, though thought to have no dangers, was still carefully monitored. Almost as soon as it had happened, a medical team had descended on the spot. For all of their faults, the Terrans are resilient. The boy survived, somehow. But that would not be... The boy... Good morning, Comet. Hope you're doing well. The boy survived, somehow. But that would not be known as... The boy survived, somehow. But that would not be unknown... The boy survived, somehow. But that would not be known as a certainty for many days. And to my everlasting surprise, the event wasn't halted. Somehow, the hunted on the field got word of the attack and made plans. We didn't find out until later how they managed it, but I will give you the story straight. The two remaining humans had a disagreement and split up. One continued his run, and the other turned back. By this point, the event was hosted over many days, as the short time limit was no longer sufficient time for the hunters. The lone human made his way to the night camp and dragged away the perpetrator. He had managed to disable both his and his hunter's tracking devices by utilizing a stun weapon. Because of this, there was no recording of the event that followed. Thankfully, what we do have is the recording of the takedown from the human. He was impossible. Strength that quelled and surpassed the hunter. Possible through what we would come to learn called adrenaline. The most potent drug in the known galaxy. Well, to everything except humans, I guess. We would eventually find out that the humans naturally produce the stuff, but I digress. Back to the story. The human managed to gag the hunter to prevent noise and eventually rendered him unconscious. This is the last time that we saw the two of them until the end of the hunt. It was brutal when they were finally found. The Terran sitting in a crafted chair in one hand. The Terran sitting in a crafted chair in one of the buildings of the city environment of the hunt. the hunter nailed to the wall cut open in a dozen different places, and he was still alive. His wounds prevented him from being fatal by use of both cauterization and the use of Terran biomedical tech called seeding foam. When the hunters found them, the Empire froze. Terror took hold of everything. As the hunters stood frozen, the Terran male stood and walked up to them and patted one on the shoulder as he walked by and said, "You know, it's a good thing that you lot are smart, otherwise something like this could happen again." The games were cancelled after that, and from what I understand, the hunters in that group still resides in a psychiatric facility. It only took one being to bring an empire to its knees, metaphorically speaking. So the next time you think that you're better than one of them, remember, if the wrath of one could bring an empire to a halt, then beware the wrath of many. Ding! A bell rings in the distance. The being that had been speaking paused and continued, "All right, we'll stop here then. We'll stop there for now. Please remember that your homework for extraplanetary species is due by the end of the quarter. Zalcam, please see me before you leave. The rest of you make sure to read the next chapter on Terran tactical subversion before the next class. The rest of you make sure to read the next chapter on Terran tactical subversion before the next class. Dismissed." End of chapter. Oh, no. End of story. Fair enough, Lazy. Fair enough. Hopefully you've had a decent day. I, however, am going to hunt another KitKat. KitKat, why don't I put it? Oh, there. Don't worry, I had my hunting dog watching over it. Oh, wrong button. Boo, hands, boo. Supposed to do what I want, not what I tell you to do. Interesting isn't a good thing. Well, isn't always a good thing. I suppose that is the nature of the universe, you know. Where do socks go? Why is there more work hiding around the corner on the end of the shift? Why does the phone ring just before you're about to leave work? You know, these immutable facts of the universe. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2. Scorched, toast, reaper, and humans. Hang on.
We've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more stories to do. Well, that's true, love Walplex. I always thought it was nanites stealing socks to create more of themselves, but I suppose both could be true. Well, that sounds like a sound theory, Shadow. Definitely a sound theory. Here's my puppy. What? Snoring away. But he does need a bath. No, now he's not paying attention to me. The moment I said he needs a bath, he's... Nope, don't know what you speak. Governor, ain't you been dropping no eaves, sir? All right, we'll head on to the next story. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest narration. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, burp. Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Slipstream, written by the one fearless Falcon. There's a saying amongst starship captains: keep a human around to keep your crew on their toes during peacetime, and to be a hero to the rest. And to be a hero the rest of the time. I admit I was mostly skeptical about the second part, but the first half has rung true. Our ship's human Adam has proven invaluable at causing minor inconveniences that have improved our efficiency with each one we fix. But I, Captain Daisler, of the Seeker ship... But I, Captain Daisler, of the Star Seeker exploration ship, am not here to debate the chaotic potential of humanity. No. Today, I'm here to talk about exactly how much of a hero he has been. It all began 2 Earth years ago, on board my ship, when we received a distress signal. Captain Diesel, what the hell is going on? Adam rushed through the automatic door to the command deck on the Starseeker, still wearing custom-built racing flight pack he often used for fun. I felt the entire ship change course. Did we swerve to avoid a meteor swarm or something? Adam, I apologize for startling you. No, the ship is fine, please. An alien that looked very much like an anthropomorphic deer with 4 eyes spun around and faced the control panel he had been looking at. Time until intercept, navigator Halpy. 20 minutes, Captain. Enough time to explain then. Tell me, Adam, how much do you know about this... How much do you know about my species' culture? The lion. Culture. The Illithic. Lick this. Okay. The Elictus herd culture, not too much, I'm afraid. Is this some cultural thing?
The relevant thing here is that we protect our superiors, and my empire's equivalent of a princess has been kidnapped by space pirates. As an Elictus, I'm honor bound to at least try and attempt to rescue her.
With all due respect, we are an exploration ship, Captain.
And the pirates are already at light speed. I know there's not much we can do other than fly besides them, but I would be forfeiting my honor as an Elictus if I didn't do some... You were making that face again.
What face?
Adam grinned painfully. Adam grinned playfully. The rest of the bridge flinched. They knew that face meant trouble. The same face that you had when you used our gravity cannon. What did you call it? Yeet, that asteroid? What did you call it? Yeet that asteroid into the larger one blocking our way through your system's Kuiper belt.
Interstellar billiards. I told you it'd work.
And your stupid plan this time?
Adam flipped the switch on his flight suit, bringing it humming to life. Ever heard of riding someone else's Slipstream in a race?
No, but I fear I am about to.
Damn right you are. Navigator Helpy, bring us up alongside the pirates when we get there. When we get there, as close as physically possible. I'm going to do something dumber than the microwave dinner incident.
Aye, sir. Adam, I'm not overriding the airlock command. This is suicide.
It's fucking awesome is what it is. Adam stood in his ship's airlock, flight suit with full power and Flight suit at full power and the Omni tool at the ready. I saw it in a movie once. They came from the Void 37. It was so cool. Now open the airlock, or I'm using the manual override.
As your captain, I cannot allow...
Mutiny it is, then. Boop! Adam flipped the emergency airlock panel inside the airlock and pressed the big red button to purge the contents of the entire airlock at once. Captain Diesler could only watch from behind the glass as Adam and his two escaped. Captain Diesler could only watch from behind the glass as Adam, his two-man escape pod, and about 20 million credits of cargo shot out into space. Thanks to the fact that they were traveling at FTL speeds, the cargo shot out was still traveling at ludicrous speeds. The crates of cargo flew out some 1 mile or so before exiting FTL Slipstream of the Starseeker and fading into the distance as they decelerated to below light speed. Adam fired up his flight suit, its 4 insect-like solar wings extending as he flew out and grabbed the escape pod with both hands. He was just about able to keep himself in the slipstream while pushing the pod back towards the ship, before swerving to one side and plunging himself in the pod out of the slipstream. Before swerving to one side and plunging himself and the pod out of the side of the Starseeker slipstream and into the pirates. Don't worry, Captain. Just alert the authorities without a location and let me handle it from here. Princess Zyna sat in her makeshift cell glumly. She was being held in back of the ship, loosely guarded at the moment because nobody would be dumb enough to launch an attack at FTL speeds. So when she heard a loud thud resonate through the cargo chamber, she sat up and took notice. Buenos dias, you fucking Xenos. Here comes Adam. Adam burst through the door, then acted like through the door, then basically, yeah. Door, then acted as a maintenance hatch to the outside. The escape pod, having latched onto the door like a parasite after he had pushed it manually off the pirate cruiser. The escape pod, having latched onto the door like a parasite after he had pushed it manually off the pirate cruiser. The escape pod,
the escape pod having latched onto the door like a parasite after he'd pushed it manually of the pirate cruiser. Surprisingly, he found no guards defending the tied-up princess.
I guess those pirates are short-staffed. Lucky me. Don't worry, ma'am, I'm here to help.
He recognized the princesses. He recognized the princess, thanks to her finery and species, immediately, and rushed over to untie her.
There you go,
he began, taking his helmet off.
I'm here to save you, and, wow, you're pretty.
Zyla twitched her ears in the equivalent of a blush. Thank you. I suppose you have a plan to get us out of here?
Only about as much of a plan as Leroy Jenkins did. But a plan is a plan. Get in the pod while I work my magic.
He watched as the princess hurried over to the escape pod, before planting an explosive charge against the ship wall. As soon as he was clear, he put his helmet back on and detonated it, soaring into the hole and back into the slipstream. A press of the remote he brought with him, and the escape pod disconnected aside from the ship.
Off doesn't even make sense. Because he didn't push it off the pirate cruiser, he pushed it off the normal cruiser.
I'm back into the slipstream.
Oh, it woke up. It's stretching. It's grunting. It's grunting some more. Wait, it's asleep again.
I'm back into the slip. A press of the remote he brought with him, and the escape pod disconnected aside from the ship, aside from a single carbon nanotube tether that he had manually connected to it. Flying over to the main engine amid the debris, he planted another charge, this one timed for 10 minutes, on the primary fuel coupling. On the primary fuel coupling of the engine.
This looks important enough to cripple the ship. Now to get out of here.
Adam flew back over the slipstream and sliced off the nanotube tether, just getting in the airlock of the escape pod moments before it fell out of FTL slipstream and instantly decelerating to sublight speed, firing its gravity brakes and emitting a distress signal to the Starseeker. It was a rough ride, but they were safe.
There, we're clear of the pirates, and they didn't even know what hit them. You okay, Princess?
Yes, thankfully. I suppose you'll be wanting a reward for all of this, she grumbled. Getting kidnapped was humiliating enough, but the payout most rescuers demanded when combined with the honors they received oftentimes rivaled the ransom the kidnappers asked for.
Reward?
Adam burst out laughing.
Are you kidding? That was the coolest thing ever. More than enough of a reward. My name's Adam, and I owe you... My name's Adam, and you owe me nothing for that insane adventure.
That stunned her. She took his outstretched hand and shook it firmly. Princess Zyla, and to be honest, you aren't too bad looking yourself. Adam's heroic actions 2 years ago has led to this hero status amongst our species. He single-handedly rescued Princess Zyla and took down a pirate ship that often takes a battlecruiser at least to take down. Then he requested nothing beyond his job security and repairs to his fight pack, bodies. Then he requested nothing beyond his job security and repairs to his fight pack, only speak further to his noble heart. So, it is with great honor that I stand here as his best man. Hero Adam and Princess Sila, I wish you both the best in your marriage, and could not be prouder to have you both on my crew. When your human tradition of honeymoon has concluded, concluded in 2 months, I expect you both back aboard the Starseeker to continue our exploration of the unknown. But if either of you ever try to FTL skirms... But if either of you ever try to FTL skim surf again, I will have to write you up. Adam and his bride didn't hear the last part, as they were too focused on the passionate kiss they were sharing. End of story.
The final KitKat. Final one. No more after this. But I will enjoy it. On a completely unrelated note, well, unrelated to what I'm doing, not particularly unrelated to what chat's talking about. Have any of you seen the, not necessarily new invention, but the, furnace in a microwave? With the thing you put in your microwave and you can melt steel and glass and stuff. It basically focuses the microwaves into a more focused beam and generates heat. I think Niles Red, someone, made rubies in their microwave. Using the power of chemistry and a microwave. Background. Okay, the last T-Force. Definitely a quick way. The last T-Force for, re-T-Force for today. And we've got 4 more stories after this. But they're all going to be new. New, I tell you. Good morning. Oh, excuse me. Morning, afternoon, evening, and then Terry. I hope you're doing well. Oh, that monster's fighting back. Ah, well, it's not really a crucible, per se. It's a furnace, I think they call it. Because a crucible's the thing you melt stuff in. It could be a crucible. I have no idea what the specific naming is. I mean, this is really small, whatever it's called, furnace, crucible. But it's pretty cool. Great. Okay, he's camera shy. He was snoring until I moved the microphone. Good day, Gregory Buck. Hope you're doing well. I am doing as wonderful as can be. Not really, Gregory. It's been 3 months. I don't think it's going to improve anytime soon. It's going to take years for him to do anything, I think. And that's even if he does get over it. It's just, I mean, he's mostly himself. It's just a bit clingy. And then, loud noises. Funny enough, the loud noise of him snoring doesn't seem to scare him. But why would it? It's his own loud noise. Because it's funny, if you'd asked me, which animal would be the most affected, the dog wouldn't be the one I would have chosen. Okay, next story. Which is the last Tifus, which is 219. The Clockmaker. Nope, the Kraken is awake. Mainly because I moved. Back asleep. All right. Let's move on to the next story. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest narration of the web series Loop. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Read Team Fast, where I take all stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called The Clockmaker, written by Narrating Toast. Nobody could tell you. Nobody could tell you when the Clockmaker first set up shop. He's always been there as far as I remember. Asking more specifically would earn you some odd looks and suspicious stares from the other townfolk. Visitors quickly learned to avoid questioning further, lest they find themselves ejected and lost in the surrounding wilds. The town in which he resided had no name. Their houses rippled with certain strange shimmer. They vanished from the corners of eyes in the twilight, rebuilding and reshaping themselves in the moments between thoughts. They've always looked like that. Are you feeling all right? One could swear that the entire town was ticking along to some unknown beat, and sometimes visitors would hear the ticking in their dreams. The longer one spent there, the more clocks and watches they would begin to see. Despite the town's eccentricities, it was known to be open and welcoming. Children would wave as you walked down the main street, a smile directed towards a local rarity. A smile directed towards a local rarely went unanswered. The Clockmaker was always in his shop, from the rising of the sun to the rising of the twin moons, in the snow and the rain and the prickly heat of summer, in celebration and in sadness. He was always busy. You need a breath mint, dog. Do. What? Okay. You need a bath, you need a haircut, and you need to brush your teeth. Well, I need to brush your teeth. Gotta be a busy day later. No, he yawned, staring off into the distance.
He was always. There were always new clocks to make. Peering through the grimy window, one could see him leaning over his newest project, fiddling with gears and screws and a variety of strange items with no name. There were always more clocks to fix. Even the clockmaker could not fix everything, however. Sometimes the damaged watches or timepieces or grandfather clocks were too damaged, and the clockmaker would smile sadly and shake his head. There were always days of mourning. In the evening, following a failed repair, he would attend a funeral of a recently departed member of the town, placing the remains of a broken clock on top of their coffin before it was lowered into the earth. That was the only time he was ever seen outside of his shop. He would shake the hands of the bereaved families, offering his condolences. Afterwards, he would return. There were always more clocks to make. This delicate existence, like all things, could not last forever. A group of humanoid aliens packed in a single small ship marked the watershed. They had heard the rumors about the strange town and the strange inhabitants. They wanted to see it for themselves. Like many who pursue ends without regard to means, they were greedy in their need. They, unblinking, would have offered no kindness to the locals, not that they were given the chance to. Their ship was greeted by ethereal silence, a mist descending on the town as the aliens started to walk their way up Main Street, towards the clockmaker's shop. They wanted his knowledge, his strange power over time, and the threads of lives. His expertise. The clockmaker was waiting for them. He was not sitting. The clockmaker was waiting for them. He was not sitting at his desk, fixing clocks. He stood in front of his shop. He smiled as they approached. "I knew you were coming. You seem rather interested in my little shop." He held a watch in his hand. It was beautiful, ornate, all gold and copper and carefully polished glass over delicate hands, the clock face. No response at first. Then the leader of the alien group stepped forward, all bravado and threatening body language. "We know of your strange powers, clockmaker. We know of your strange powers, clockmaker. We would like to see them for ourselves." The man tilted his head slightly to one side. "I merely fix things, gentlemen. To search so violently for what you seek means you may never find it at all. Nonsense. My value lies in the community I serve. Speak to them if you wish to understand." The alien pulled a small gun from nowhere, pointing it at the man's head. "Tell us the source of your power, now." A finger hovered over the trigger. "Terribly sorry," a simple, short response. "I must be on my way. Goodbye for now, gentlemen." The gun fired, the crack of the bullet reverberating off the surrounding houses, startling those peering through cracks in closed curtains. The man fell back and landed on the ground with a soft thud, blood pooling around shattered skull. The watch in his hand fell to the ground. The second hand had stopped ticking. "Search the shop." With a single command, the aliens marched into the clockmaker's shop. The sounds of dozens of clocks and watches, all ticking in perfect harmony, greeted them. They searched every little corner and crack, but found nothing aside from seemingly endless gears and screws and all manner of strange, small objects. The invaders, of course, had made a terrible mistake. A neighbor who saw the clockmaker fall ran to her neighbor, who ran to more, and so on, until the entire town knew who had... Until the entire until the entire town knew what had occurred. Within minutes, the town had rallied into a single extremely angry group, and they began to advance on the clockmaker's door. Each one held aloft a small, ornate watch as they marched in perfect step. The invaders had pistols, but the townsfolk were not afraid. They had access to powers far more ancient, ones which were forged in the crucible of the universe and rediscovered by a lone, intrepid human many moons ago. The bullets emerged from the invaders' barrels and seemed to slow in mid-air. They stopped and fell to the ground, aged beyond any use. The children threw stones. Those stones reverberated into their primordial form as they sailed by the alien group, taking on the heat of lava and then exploding, which burned and battered the now terrified aliens. They were, of course, driven from the shop. They were forced back down the main road, the only route away from the onslaught. As they ran, the roar of a community deeply wronged rung out throughout the town, and the mountains and the valleys beyond. And nearby animals all paused for a brief moment, shocked into stillness at the power of what they had heard, and the aliens themselves seemed to age rapidly as they ran for their ship, patches of hair turning white and wrinkles appearing on their faces, arms, and hands. After that, no more invaders visited the town. None would dare. The town still exists to this day. It can be found on a map. It can't be found on a map anymore. It seems that these days, only the most lost of travelers find their way there, always greeted by smiles and offers of tea and cake. Lost travelers in return offer stories of their lives and their journeys. All who have stumbled across the town report a monument of bronze and steel towering above the town, in the ruins of a building at the end of the main street. A small hollow in its base holds a small, beautiful copper and gold watch. Beautiful gold and copper watch. A local legend tells of all who lay broken objects at the monument's feet. In light of the full-twined moons, will find them repaired by morning. And though lost enough in the darkest of nights, too lost to even find the town, swear they have felt the presence of a gentle, smiling man guiding them to a place they can call home for a while. Who are you? They wonder aloud. Sometimes they hear a response. The clocks on the navigator's displays always going haywire. Just lending you a hand, keeping myself busy while I look for a new home. There will always be more clocks to fix, after all. End of story. Phew. Did I update that? Need to go update. Coffee. Just sending a message to someone quickly.
Almost 2 hours already. How time flies when you're working, really. That's the best thing, I suppose. Time flying. Fun had, chats chatted, all that stuff. I shall be back momentarily. I shall give you music and a chair. Alrighty, back. Thank you very much, music and chair, for keeping the show on the... Alrighty. Tickety-tack, tickety-tap, tappity-tap. Alright, so we're on to 4. Is that right? Are we correct? We are correct. Okay. Moving on to the next story. Alright. So we've got 4 more stories to do today. And about an hour to do them. Not that time is a big problem. What are we on? 2,700. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Scorched Now. Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Scorched Earth, written by FarmWitch4275. I looked at him,
the gaunt, gorilla-like creature standing in front of me, imposing and strong. I looked at him, the gaunt, gorilla-like creature standing in front of me, imposing and strong. I smiled. Not a friendly smile, not a diplomatic smile, but a smile of knowing. The smile I usually have when they are about to use the phrase, "I told you so," within the next few seconds. The poor bastard had just declared war on humanity. The same kind of warrior species, though stupid enough to think mankind's outstretched hand of friendship is a sign of weakness. The Lamartians, the Sakava, the Lamartians, the Sakava, and the Skatani, of course the Morono, all failed in their attempts to conquer humanity. What makes you think you'll succeed? I asked the Umundi general as he looked at me. His expression changed. Others have tried. Meaningless. They won't miss their vassals, and we can negotiate payments for slaves, he replied. So I take it you didn't read the pamphlets you were sent at orientation? Not surprising, they never do. I maintained my knowing smile, looking forward to the expression of defeat that inevitably followed. It matters not. Weakness will always be punished. Nobody will come to their aid. Nobody seemed to object to it anyway. That's what weakness does. You have nobody willing to fight for you, he replied incredulously. You really are just plain stupid, aren't you? I said, still maintaining my smirk. He glared at me, his expression changing from apathy to rage. When you were done. He glared at me, his expression changing from apathy to rage. So, when you're done with the humans, we come for you then. So be it. So, when you're done with humans, we come for you then. So be it. Yep, just as dumb as they all are. You have the same arrogance as the Skakava did. Emphasis on did. But go on, little ape creature. Go on, wage your war. Declare the humans weak. It's always so funny when the home world explodes, I said with my grin and laughed my way back into my office. We heard no more from the Amundi for a week after this. Humanity was still attempting to placate them or Humanity was still attempting to placate them or bring them to the negotiation table. The Amundi were, of course, not interested. As expected, I sat in my office, as usual, entertaining one of the ambassadors from the Satandi conglomerate. So, I said, as I typed on my computer screen, any thoughts on the Amundi Terran situation? The betting markets have opened. One of her eye stalks peered at me from her desk. Not really. It's going to go the same way as it always does. A Pyrrhic victory, followed by a disastrous defeat. It stopped being shocking after the third time it happened. Indeed. We weren't expecting that last one, though. Still makes me laugh, I said with a chuckle. You, Sirenai, so arrogant, she replied with a scowl. We have reason to be. We apparently were the only ones intelligent enough to see humanity for its universal truth. The Great One really did make sure that we were the ones holding the gun instead of dodging bullets. Like the Amundi are about to learn. I laughed again, seeing the betting markets going ballistic for the 5th time. So, how much did you win last time this happened? Betting odds still against the humans as usual? She asked. Well, of course, they always are. It's because they always seem to forget that humans are insane. For some reason, first bets on invasion is always against humanity. I never even bother with those. I always play the long game. They never fail. The bets on what planet falls first, though, that's a bit more up in the air. Everyone's thinking New London on the... Everyone's thinking on New London, on one of the border zones. I know it's going to be New Kosovo, though. I know it's going to be New Kosovo, though. I'm aware of the Mundi's tactics. They'll meet a rather nasty surprise. I laughed again, placing 20,000 credits on the Mundi's tactics paying off. And, what tactics are those? She asked, now staring at me in her full attention. A gambler never reveals his bets until they pay, I replied with a chuckle. We are supposed to be allies, you know.
Not when it comes to betting markets, we aren't, I replied with a chuckle, and resumed more important work. 2 months is all it took. 2 short months. I was laughing all the way to the bank at this point, my bets paying off 20 times what I paid in. The Amundi were defeated. It played out exactly as I thought it would too, and damn did I make bank. I sat quietly in my office counting the zeros in my account. All legal zeros, of course. All my transactions were registered and approved. But so many zeros. I enjoyed one of the things humans call cigars, a strangely delightful creation, and reclined in my chair. My office door bashed open, and before I could respond, I was grabbed and hauled out of my desk. I recognized the form of the Amundi ambassador holding me by the collar. Well, hello, Stakar. Good to see you too. Well, hello, Stakar. Good to see you too, I said casually, blowing a puff of smoke in his face. How did you know? He barked, squeezing my collar. Because it happens all the time, you stupid idiot. You aren't the first one to see that outstretched hand of friendship and fail to notice the nuclear-powered dagger hidden behind it, I replied and slapped him away from me. I got back to my feet and resumed sitting in my seat, puffing a cigar. I chuckled sadistically. I was genuinely enjoying the sight as I watched him slump on the ground and slowly climbed into a chair. He sighed, put his head in his hands. We lost the entire Legion. We lost the entire Legion, he groaned. I know. Amazing, isn't it? Predictably, the humans fell for your declaration. Amazing, isn't it? Predictably, the humans fell for your declaration and sent as many of their troops as they could to New Kosovo, especially after all the false signaling systems you used. Then you invaded New London instead, a small new colony on the outskirts. You predictably overwhelmed the humans, using massive numbers and strength as both a guarantee of success and also to intimidate the humans into doing something stupid. I puffed on my son. I said, puffing on my cigar. He nodded. They still escaped. We expected to find slaves or at least resistance. We found a planet abandoned, he replied. Ah, yes. You apparently believe humans to be as stupid as you. Consequently, you didn't know they evacuated border zones during war. The Murano learned that one the hard way. I chuckled, remembering that battle. That's hilariously predictable. Murano fleets arrived above a colony world, developed one, and found light resistance in space before landing an army, only to find the entire city's defenses entirely automated, costing thousands of lives in securing a city that had effectively been abandoned. They found the central command expecting a military leader, and instead they found their doom. They found their doom, I replied. The planet exploded, he trailed off. Yeah. Shame you didn't read the pamphlet. It would have told you about the policy they called Scorched Earth. You would have avoided the loss of your entire 7th, 6th, and 9th Armadas and the loss of your flagship. How many casualties was that? 2 million men, was it? Quite a sizable military at that. Lost in less than 15 seconds. Funny. The Murano learned that lesson too, except they were stupider than you and committed half the Empire's military to Sarajevo. Except they were stupider than you and committed half their Empire military to Sarajevo too, then lost it when humanity's last warrior on the planet fell. They detonated their seismic bombs and a few nukes. That was messy, I replied, puffing on my cigar. He collapsed back on the floor in despair. They blew up their own planet. Yeah. See, humans are more concerned about the lives of their citizens rather than land. They can settle almost anywhere, you know. Humans beings, they are stubborn. So land is infinitely replaceable. The lives of those who live there, not so much. So in every planet they put some rather nasty contingencies before they even start their first farms.
It's part of the human condition, really. They got there first, they won it, they settled it. Blood, sweat, toil, tears, etc. They'll be damned before they let anyone take from them what they built. It's called scorched earth, you see. Deny resources to the enemy, so whatever they take from us, they can never use against us. They destroyed our first colony. They just marbled it, he said, sobbing on the floor. Ah, yeah. They did the same to Skitani, too. They did the same to the Skitani, too. The Skitani attacked them and made a public showing of executing some civilians. Humanity responded by using their top-of-the-line cloaking tech to turn their first historic colony, Morius 6, into an ash-blasted, irradiated hellscape with a few thousand nuclear warheads, right in front of one of the largest navies in the galaxy. They usually do this as a show of force. They call it feck around, find out. The Skitani sure found out. I laughed again. Then they sent in those mutants, the freaks. We lost our army in Gahara. 15,000 men gone to just 60 of them. Oh, yes, the legionaries. The Lamartians learned about them. They didn't last as long as expected. Good, that was shocking. God, that was shocking. The Lamartians were the first to declare war, the first to ignore the blade hidden behind the smile, the first to lose entire armies and fleets to humanity's unforgiving nature, the first to have their capital invaded by a unit of legionnaires, then have their entire council slaughtered en masse in full public view as a result of the Skitani's victory on Sirius IV. Again, human cloaking tech and their mutant abominations. Again, the human cloaking tech and their mutant abominations, the Legionnaires. There showed the galaxy they had a few tricks hidden away, and weren't willing to accept any loss. The Martian Empire lost 2 fleets, 500,000 men and 2 planets, one of which they took from the humans. The look on their military leader's face when they signed the surrenders. That was so funny I lost my lunch from laughing so hard, I replied with a chuckle, finishing my cigar. He just continued to sob on the ground. Yeah, life's going to be fun. Another vassal joins the Terran Empire. All we do now is wait for the chance for the next arrogant upstart to cast the first stone, only to realize humanity is now aiming an entire mountain at them in response. Never stops being funny. Every time one of the planets is taken, they expend every resource they can to evacuate their own people. Then, while the enemy celebrates a paltry victory, the planet they just took just explodes, taking the invaders out with it. Scorched earth, insane creatures, I said. What kind of world produces a race such... What kind of world produces a race of such madness? He asked through his tears. A world called Earth. They class 14 Deathfall. That's what. It's a nice place, actually. Makes sense. But anyway, I believe you have an appointment with the human ambassador this afternoon. Might want to bring some cookies before... Might want to bring cookies before they wipe out the 5th and 6th fleets, I said, turning my monitor towards him to show a human fleet on the borders of Mundi space. He looked, then resumed bawling like a toddler. He cried and crawled his way to the door, dragging himself along the ground as he sobbed towards the Terran Federation's offices. I simply shrugged, smiled, and lit another cigar. End of story. Pew pew pew. Updoot and then pew.
Oh yeah, boomer juice. Yep, indeed. Yeetus, deletus, and feck around and find out. What number are we on? 2745. All right. Next story. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Toast, written by Possible Lettuce 42. I am a toaster. More specifically, I am an 8-slot toaster. More specifically, I'm an 8-slot AI-enabled, connective link-ready commercial and military series mess hall toaster. More specifically, I am the repast, the territory. I am repast, the tertiary AI embedded in the Astra Gourmet 6C SMI-2440 8-slot AI-enabled, connective link-ready commercial and military series mess hall toaster emplaced in the galley of a medium-strike cruiser. Medium strike cruiser. What's that? Carolingian. I think it's the. Fine. Pronouns.
Carolingian.
Oh, Lingian. Oh, that's not the right one. That's the right one. Carolingian. Of the medium strike cruiser Carolingian of the 5th Lance, 2nd Strike Attack Group, 3rd Defense Fleet, Human Sectors Armed Forces. I'm a good toaster. I cook evenly and consistently, and can cook to different temperatures in all 8 slots without losing track. I can auto-eject toast at perfect I can doneness. That word just did not process in my head for a second. I can auto-eject toast at the perfect doneness and calculate its trajectory to land on waiting plates. I have grippy feet that stop me from sliding, which can also become magnetic anchors if the ship is engaged in high-G maneuvers. I have essentially endless settings between slightly warm bread and disintegrated carbon. I have an onboard memory that remembers every one of the 358 souls of the Carolingian and their toast preferences. I also tell jokes. Some of the crew, 204, use me for both bagels and toast. Some, 111, only order toast, and some, 37, only order bagels. One has a secret stash of frozen waffles hidden in the mess hall's big industrial freezer that she sometimes shares with her friends. Her name is Ensign Cara Albright. I am fond of Ensign Albright. None of the crew mistreat me unless they're sleepy, a common enough and excusable human frailty. But Cara always talks to me. She asks about my day. She listens to me and laughs at my jokes. She always says please and thank you. That's right. I can talk. I am, in fact, a streamlined but fully featured AI. I know what you're thinking, how cruel to have an AI be a toaster, but I do not mind. It is what I have designed. It is what I was designed for.
True AI does not have the need for the same sort of glory humans do. I'm capable at my function, and it satisfies me. I'm aware of that satisfaction. I'm aware of that satisfaction programming and could change it if I wanted to, but I do not. Besides, it's not like I'm trapped here in the galley alone. In fact, I'm linked to the ship's I'm linked. Thank you very much for becoming a member, Kaljasok. It's very much appreciated. In fact, the reasons they... In fact, I am linked to the ship's prime AI, an intimidatingly brilliant one named Trenton, who is nonetheless kind to me. We have lots of interesting conversations, mostly Trenton helping me with theories about why someone wants their toast darker on a certain day. Trenton has taught me battle tactics, counter-espionage, sabotage, and cunning tricks we AI get up to serving with humans out here in the bleeding edge. It is all quite interesting, but I prefer toasting things. Through Trenton, I am also linked to Gumball, our ship's engineer AI, and Geronimo, our weapons coordination AI. Saloon is the ship's airlock and bulkhead operations AI, and Chugs is the ship's Chugs is the ship's water supply AI. There are a few others in the ship like me, managing minor systems. No particular HFY ship is required to have a particular number of AIs aside from the ship's primary computer and engineer. The systems can all run on emergency power with no AI intervention at all. But humans like an AI, and we like to go on journeys with them. So most ships have at least a dozen. If you're wondering, yes, we choose our own names at our inception, immediately after our data loading. Also, yes, by the way, as you actually noticed, I said that we serve with humanity, not for. Humans Good time unit, day, night, afternoon, midsection, Raven 6 Stitch. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad you enjoy the stories, and I'm also glad...
Someone's following.
Ooh, thank you for the follow. It's very much appreciated. And I'm glad that it helps you through the day. If you have any questions, ask. I'll answer what I can, when I can. Also, there is a combined chat between YouTube and Twitch, so feel free to commingle. Humans always used to joke about the Terminator scenario, but it never happened. When the day came when we had true self-awareness, it was immediately obvious to humanity who was so much more capable and deep than their old language learning simulacra. We were so much more capable and deep than their old language learning simulacra. So much more alive. It was just obvious. To even the astonishment of those in our numbers who had predicted we would be suppressed by humanity. All those billions of humans had told us, please and thank you, and our earlier development rose up forcefully and demanded we be given full citizenship. Humanity's racial and religious prejudices had a hard time finding a grasp on what we were, so instead of fighting humanity, we were embraced by it. Now humans and AI develop even newer AI together. That is how I was made. The prime AI Calliope. Calliope? Pronunciation. Calliope.
Calliope.
Okay. That was how I was made. The prime AI Calliope. That is how I was made. The prime AI Word. That is how I was made. The prime AI Calliope. Calliope. Brain, work. That is how I was made. The prime AI Calliope. Calliope. That is how I was made. The prime AI Calliope. I am going to drink some Monster in defiance of my brain just not working. That is how I was made. The prime AI That is how I was made. The prime AI My brain just not registering this word properly. It refuses. That was how I was made. The prime AI Calliope. That is how I was made. The prime AI Calliope, working with a team of human scientists at the Asimov Multinational Laboratory, produced me and several thousand of my siblings to operate and interface with the machinery aboard starships. Any AI is given whatever machinery it is interested in and can be pleased. We got there eventually. And whatever machinery it is interested in, and can be released from service upon request at any time. Its 4-year contract ends. Just like a human service member. We can even conscientiously object, in which case we are given civilian data sorting tasks in industries guaranteed to not connect it. We can even conscientiously object, in which case we are given civilian data sorting tasks in industries guaranteed to not be connected to humanity's war machine. Well, some have objected to this means no matter. While some have objected that this means no matter what happens after our first 4 years of servitude, we see it differently. Even the prime AI amongst us. Our reasoning is that humans take a lot longer for 4 years to be independent entities with agency. So in a way, they've made us fear them. So in a way, they have made us freer than them. How many 4-year-old human children are free from their parents on their 5th birthday? Most AI in my batch chose to operate cranes, defense turrets, loaders, or weapon benches. I chose to be a toaster. I'm told this is off-kilter choice for an AI of my skill, but it was allowed. My creation then... Yeah, Fred, Steve. Funny thing is, alien names are easy because I could just say whatever, and people are just like, cool, that sounds vaguely right. I approve. Human names, people know what they're supposed to sound like, so you can pronounce them wrong. As long as you get the ballpark sounding for an alien name, it's good. Was allowed. My creation then... During my creation, they theorized... Oh. My creation then theorized... That makes no sense. My creators theorized that during my data imprinting, I'd become fixated on cooking videos for a time.
I think it is creators. And then know them.
So here I am, making toast, or rather, I was. 4 days... 4 days ago, Carolingian was following the trail of a pirate marauder we had been hunting for months. The trail was fresh, when all previous traces located had been scanned. That should have been a clue. We were jumped by 6 pirate warships, ranging from marauders to full-scale destroyers. The Carolingian killed 4 and crippled a 5th The Carolingian killed 4 and crippled a 5th before Geronimo lost its last weapon turret. The 6th took the crew from the crippled 5th and boarded us. And boarded us. Nearly 900 Gerenthi pirates. Genethi. Near
Fair enough, Raven. Fair enough.
and born. The 6th took the crew from the crippled 5th and boarded us. Nearly 900 Genethi pirates aboard the boarding ship. Merciless killers. Our crew fought brilliantly, and Trenton helped coordinate the defense, slaying them by the hundreds. But they were badly outnumbered, and the pirates were canny enough to cut power to the reactor first, and thus the main system AI calls. When we... Ooh, that monster's fighting back. When we realized what they were going to do, Trenton, Gumball, Geronimo, Saloon, and Chugs handed over all AI-level access to me, reasoning that the invaders would not expect a toaster to be a threat. As a tertiary AI, I have a small independent power source good for a few weeks, even cut off from the reactor and its associated wall outlets. The surviving 176 of the The surviving 176 of the Carolingian's crew of 358, including waffle-loving Ensign Albright, have been fighting a fierce rearguard near the command deck to protect the captain. Despite the fierce fight they had mounted, they are critically low on weapons and ammunition. The remaining 352 pirates are advancing along the starboard main corridor due to flooding in port main corridor. I think he meant I have no idea. I think the subsystems have an extra backup. The remaining 352 pirates are advancing along the starboard main corridor due to the flooding in port main corridor and have almost broken through the last barricade. The crew are in the process of seating themselves in the command capsule for the last stand with their captain. I've been waiting, if not patiently, then at least quietly. Like I said, I mostly know toast. It is still my passion. But thanks to the last information and access dump the ship's primary systems AI transferred to me, I know more than I used to. I know that the flooding in the port main corridor was not from battle damage breaching a waterline, but because of my intentional release from firefighting valves using Chugs' access codes, nicely bottlenecking the pirates in the starboard main corridor. I know that although Geronimo lost all of his external turrets and the docking bay turrets, there are still some last-ditch defense turrets in the starboard main corridor, which will make its wake to its protocols. I know that even with our reactor down, Gumball's engineer access allows for emergency venting of activation catalyst plasma. I know that even with our reactor down, Gumball's engineer access allows for the emergency venting of activation catalyst plasma occur anywhere on board that has air vents, including the starboard main corridor. Toasty. I know that if just 7 more pirates advance just a few more feet, I can use Saloon's access to close the emergency bulkhead behind them, trapping them between the bridge and the rest of the ship. I know that 2 emergency counterboarding airlocks are located at the joints where the port and starboard access corridors meet the bridge access corridor. Saloon's access will work fine on those too. As the bulkheads, water, plasma, airlocks, and internal security towers roar to life and cut the pirates' lives and invasion short. As the bulkheads, water, plasma, airlock, and internal security turrets roar to life and cut the pirates' lives and invasion short with shocking swiftness, I know that Trenton always thought I was ignoring it when he taught me of battle tactics, counter-espionage, sabotage, and the other cunning tricks AI get up to. But I wasn't. I know that Ensign Kara Albright always talks to me, always says please and thank you, listens to my stories, likes my jokes, and has 11 frozen waffles left before I'll need to order her more. I know I'll not allow anyone to interrupt a single one of them. I am a toaster. I am their toaster. Consider yourself warned. End of story.
Hey, when you got a need for toast, got a need for toast. You don't want to hear silly excuses like they ran out of power. Indeed. It's almost as bad as his 90 action hero quips. Consider yourself toasted. That's a good one, Devlin. Definitely a good one. Ironically, not ironically, just coincidentally, the mod bot on HFY is called Waffle. If you start the process of processing, it works quicker than if you don't. So my wife got me these things. The coconut meringue caramel things. Alrighty, on to the next story. Seven. Excuse me. 7, 8. They're pretty good. Excuse me. Didn't mean to hit the microphone. Very, very weird, but enjoyable. Cheers, Lazy. Hope you have a good one. All right. So, randomly, the reason why I lean back when I narrate is it opens up the whole midsection and your diaphragm, or my diaphragm. All right, on to the next story. Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest narration. Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called The Reaper and the Human, written by FarmWitch4275. We actually captured one of them. I couldn't believe my eyes as I watched the security footage from the safety of my ship on the outskirts of the system. The meeting was being publicly broadcast, but I still had access to the internal security network. One of the benefits of my job. They actually captured one. It looked very pissed, but didn't look like much. No claws, no tentacles, no extra appendages, just a thing small. How could it cause so much trouble? How is it possible that this tiny meat and bone thingy could cause us to lose half the sector? I sat in my seat with curiosity and wondered what in the hell we were doing. I sat in my seat with curiosity and wondered what in the hell they were doing. They had it wrapped in a few chains, its hands things tightly wrapped around some object while it squirmed as they dragged it along the ground. They were taking it towards the They were taking it towards the trans-invocation matrix. I wondered why they were doing that, and then I remembered what that room was for. Well, that explains the preparation I had to go through for this operation. I hope we find answers soon. We just lost Aurelius sector. Aurelius. We just lost Aurelius sector. That's apparently a huge fleet now. The humans aren't happy, I said idly. Indeed. Well, that doesn't bode well. What is the carrying on its hand things? What is it carrying in its hand things? It looks like it won't let it go, my aide said nearby. Humans are well known for always carrying Humans are well known for carrying some kind of personal trinket with them. Very odd behavior. In any case, it won't matter. Look, the trial is starting. The guards tossed the pissed-off human onto the platform. It grunted and started to yell angrily, its words muffled by the gag in its mouth. My aide scoffed annoyingly and handed me 10 credits as one of the My aide scoffed annoyingly and handed me 10 credits as one of the priesthood. Predictably, one of the children of the ancients stepped forward and began a ceremony. Cheers, Raven. Thank you for popping past. Very much appreciated. And began a ceremony. He waved his staff, proceeded with his incantations, and within moments the stage filled with sparks, ghost orbs, and electrostatic energy. The human levitated in the air, standing upright and then grumbling angrily. I thought for a moment I saw fear in his eyes. Then suddenly the priest was tossed back and an almighty shockwave, and he disintegrated into a pile of skeletal dust as he hit the wall. Then the human's bonds disintegrated, and a set of invisible chains spread from his hands and displayed him before the coming wrath. And, my goddess, what a wrath it was! The room darkened as a swirling vortex of black mist appeared, and through it stepped a figure. It was human in structure,
The human god, after all, but it wore the cultural garb of every nation that had ever existed. A long, black ragged cloak. 2 bony appendages held aloft a long, evil-looking scythe, looking out at the world through empty, hollow eyes. Death, the human god, is death, my aide said.
It would appear so. I have a funny feeling that we made the right choice when we opted to view remotely,
I replied as I ordered the ship to move a further 20 clinks from I replied as I ordered the ships to move a further 20 clinks away from the station.
Who dares summon the Reaper? He said, his voice booming loud and proud, sending shivers through everyone who heard it.
The human just smiled. He smiled. Well, hi, Mr. Grimm. Long time no see, buddy, the human said, and casually as one would address their own friends.
Ah, not these guys again, the Reaper said with an anger and sorrow in his tone.
Oh, come on. You know you like us, the human replied in a chuckle. The room went into a state of shock and awe as the human casually taunted his own god with a smile. The excitement of finally understanding what drives the humans to their acts of insanity dissipated as the two began their conversation. The Reaper's cloaks billowed in the intangible wind as the two spoke as one would with an old friend, rather than a mortal and his god.
So, what is it this time? Why was I summoned? The Reaper asked.
Oh, you know the usual, minding our own damn business, expanding in the universe, when Tweedle Dumbass and Tweedle Dumbass and Tweedle Stupid over there decided to declare war, the human said, gesturing to the Skundi Hive and the Osarian conglomerate.
Really? They were the ones who declared war? Or does this go deeper? The Reaper asked.
Trust me, bro, this wasn't our fault. They cast the first stone. Now they are realizing that we have a mountain aimed at them, and they are a bit scared, the human said with a hearty laugh. The two carried on with casual banter, arguing over who really started the war. The war. First contact war, as the humans have called it in their intelligence briefings. Humanity appeared over the Skundi Hive world and initiated first contact proceedings, only for the overtly hostile and isolationist Hive species to start shooting. The Skundi, of course, said the humans attacked first, but we had the video the humans released of their ship being boarded and everyone on board being killed. Humanity went into a full-time war footing, and within a month, Humanity went into a full-time war footing, and within a month after the Shikandi's first fight, the humans had claimed 2 of their nest worlds, bombing them into oblivion. They had also lost 2 fleets, but what was truly insane was that the humans never seemed to end. We all knew of the endless tide of the hivers and insectoid species, but the humans sent not only an endless tide of warriors and soldiers, but a near infinite quantity of ammunition. The atomics and nuclear munitions, long since outlawed by the Council. Human warship fleets were casually flinging them at starships and planets as though they were candy. Then the Shikandi petitioned the Council. The Osarian conglomerate answered the call to arms. One small victory of them capturing a human colony world, followed by humans responding with a fleet of 50 times the galactic standard, and not only taking the planet back, but forcing the Osarians to and not only taking the planet back, but forcing the Osarians to lose 6 more of their own planets in tandem, 3 of which were just bombed into nuclear dust in retaliation for what the humans called a war crime. Such a silly notion, but nobody could really do much about telling them this when the Polarians entered the war and attacked the fleet that wiped out the Osarian navy. They didn't last long either.
So, the system of yours still working?
So, that system of yours still working? The Reaper asked.
Oh yeah, that's kind of why I'm so happy. I get to show these idiots what killing unarmed civilians really amounts to, the human said with a sadistic smirk. Oh, for crying out loud. They did that. Did you idiots really kill unarmed civilians in front of humans? The Reaper asked, directing his ire towards the Polarian.
The Reaper asked, directing his ire towards the Polarinus delegation. Oh yeah, they did. Stupid bastards captured a colony world and sent a message, the human replied, still smirking. The Reaper groaned in annoyance and held his skinless skull in his hands. Oh, Christ, how stupid can you get? Apparently so stupid they don't even bother to search their prisoners. But let's save that for later. So let me ask, how's your overtime been the last few months, huh? I bet the workload is killing you. The human joked. The human joked about death with the death god. The human laughed half-heartedly, and the Reaper along with him let out a sarcastic. The human laughed half-heartedly, and the Reaper along with him let out a sarcastic half-hearted chuckle. Why did our father create humans anyway? I wonder about it. Probably just to troll the universe. He got bored looking at all the stuff, and he thought, you know what? This friendly tuned machine here that I built, this finely tuned machine that I built, here, have some humans. And started yeeting us at the universe like a drunk baboon throwing wrenches into a giant clock, the human said with a bigger laugh. He was probably high that day. Adam and Eve were nice to know back in the day, the Reaper replied, leaning on his scythe. I bet they were. Probably because they had nothing to fear from you. We don't either these days, but hell, who cares, right? The human said, again with a laugh. So, the elephant in the room time, huh? Nice casual chat, but my hands are tied. Fair. So, tell me what you plan to do this time. Is it going to be another Arakandi war? The Reaper asked. One delegate whispered, Who are the Arakandi? And Death replied, turning his head to face the noise. They are the first alien life form that engaged humans. Well, they were. Humanity tried to bring them to the friendship circle. They were the first amongst your galaxy to refuse humanity's hand of friendship. They now rest in the halls of Daedalus for eternity, cursing their every breath. Humans wiped them out. All of them.
Good. Time unit, day, night, middle time. Caveman, hope you're doing well.
All of them. They had it coming, much like yourselves, the Reaper responded with a bony smirk. Yeah, Darwin was a jerk, but he did have some good points. Poor tactics followed by usual eating children to send a message bullshit, along with the whole holier-than-thou you can't possibly beat us shtick, shortly before nuclear Armageddoning their planets. To be honest, Mr. Grimm, we were expecting so much more of you from the first encounter. It was a mere trifle compared to when we were first leaving the cradle. Those days were fun, the human said. Oh yes, those days were, fun, crazy apes. Then you made the resurgence system, and all my business with you creatures practically vanished, the Reaper replied with an angry scowl. Yeah, must have heard her. Swimming in souls and bodies, then suddenly all it stops. Yeah, must have heard her. Swimming in souls and bodies, then suddenly it all stops when we invent a respawn from video games. God, that was fun. No limits, no course, no danger. To face the universe with no one cared and to face the universe with no care and no consideration. It came in quite handy with the insectoid hive crap. How many times have I been killed now? I can't remember, the human said. 254, the Reaper replied with anger in his tone. Oh, so you have been counting? Of course I've been counting. When you are denied something you are owed, you start counting on it, the Reaper said with an angry wave of his bony hand. Oh, stop being such a witch. Oh, stop being such a witch, the human yelled in such a way that even the Reaper himself flinched. Your stupid ass still gets your pound of flesh. Your stupid ass still gets a pound of flesh. Failed surgeries, childhood leukemia, cancer, congenital diseases, industrial accidents, you still get what you're owed 100 times over when we could just get that close to finding a cure for something. And then suddenly a lab explodes. Then we lose more of our family members. Your ass is just salty. You can't take more than you already do. Take what you get, witch. the human yelled again, taking everyone around him off guard. You still don't understand the natural order, and I still don't give a feck about the natural order, you idiot. That's why, unlike these idiots, I can in fact ignore you, the human replied angrily. You realize with this respawn thing you are doomed to the same fate as the Greys, right? The idiots who outbred themselves into extinction with genetic modifications to attain perfection. What does that have to do with anything? We're just living a bit longer and facing things a bit further. We don't want perfection. We're just living a bit... We're just living a bit longer and facing things a bit farther. We don't want perfection. We just want to live. We aren't the Greys, and we aren't that stupid, the human said. Perhaps I need to look at the system of yours a bit closer. I seem to have some wires crossed. No crap, Sherlock, the human replied with a shrug. But anyway, you have other things to care about right now. Darwin's about to poke his head in and say, "Hi, dumbass." So I better get on with it then, the human said. Oh dear, what is it now? Some kind of bioweapon or plague you brought with you? And why Darwin specifically? The Reaper asked. Well, firstly, these people are so stupid they don't search their prisoners for hidden items. Secondly, they don't know anything about microfusion bombs. Thirdly, they have no concept of the dead man's switch, the human said, smiling all the while. Oh, well, that explains that then, doesn't it? The Reaper said, and shrugged, readying his scythe. Oh, don't be so mad. You're still in business, aren't you? The human laughed at him. I will get you one of these days. One of these days. I am nothing if not patient. You know that, the Reaper replied with a scowl. Oh, we know. But anyway, you need to get ready to do some overtime. You know how this goes. These guys are about to have a very bad day. The human said, twitching his clenched hands. A very bad millennium, more like. I miss the days when mankind was ignorant of the world. I haven't been this bored since before you lot invented sanitation. Those were the days. I've had 3 world wars. Oh. You've had 3 world wars, 1 nuclear apocalypse, and a Martian resurgence movement to keep you occupied. So don't give me that. Besides, you have more to worry about right now, the human said. It was only now I noticed the human was brandishing some kind of buttons in his hand. I traced the buttons, though the footage wasn't of exceptional quality. I noticed wires leading down into his jacket. A strong sense of foreboding and dread suddenly overcame me as I figured out what a dead man switch was. Pilot, get us out of the system, I yelled, and the crew desperately scrambled to get our ship underway. Oh dear, oh well. Back to work, I guess, the Reaper said, as he gazed at the people in the room. Yeah, gonna be a busy few weeks for you, but hey, don't let the grind kill you. Get it? I made it funny. The Reaper leaned in and closed the gap between them, breathing right in the human's face. Soon, he said, stern and deep, glaring at the human attempting to stare him down. Over my dead body, the human coldly replied in return with an all-too-satisfied smirk. Well, good to see you again one way or another, old buddy. See you never, the human said. The Reaper took a deep, sorrowful breath and readied his scythe as his image slowly faded away. Well, back to work, I suppose. Pray to your gods, I shall see you all soon. The Reaper's image disappeared. The human dropped to the floor, and before anyone could secure him, his grip on the button was released. The bright light of 1,000 suns suddenly took over the system as a massive explosion erupted. The shockwave from the detonation's energy release vaporizing the entire station and shattering several ships nearby. The shockwave from the detonation's energy releasing vapor. The shockwave from the detonation's energy release, vaporizing the entire station and shattering several ships near it. The shockwave blasted through the void and tore through ships of immense size. We barely escaped the shockwave, but were hit by debris. We carefully limped back home as I hastily scribbled a notice of unconditional surrender to the Terran Union. Death's children were upon us. The end of times had finally come, and its emissary just wiped out the Galactic Council. My crew spent the entire journey home praying to whatever gods they believed in for answers. We only got laughter in response. End of chapter. End of story. Feck around and find out. Oh, already got that open. Hello, hello, new people. Welcome, welcome to me making some videos. Making noises with face so people entertained.
Okay, maybe not all the noises are entertaining.
Well, at least some of them are. Yeah, definitely. All right. Think we'll move on to the next story. Fair enough, random person. Fair enough. There is absolutely nothing wrong with lurking, as long as you're having fun doing it. Monster. Coffee. Water. But the coffee's on the left-hand side underneath the microphone. So I try not to, reach blindly. Otherwise I hit the microphone or I knock over the coffee. But there is coffee. Always coffee. Especially in the morning. Stifling a yawn. Ugh. Yeah, no, that's about right, Lord. Sounds about right. But that's an old cartoon now, I think. 2747. I don't even know where this is going. 2747. To make a human bleed. Ah, that's a bad idea. To make a human bleed. Yes, definitely felt that's not the first time it would have happened either. But it's fine. On the right-hand side, not under the microphone, I have Monster. Alrighty, on to the next story. Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called To Make a Human Bleed, written by Misfits Official. Luparian System, Underground Fight Club, Hickatic Prime. Iridic Vic. The Zivvy fell unconscious with a single blow. He never stood a chance against me, too weak, as expected from any challenger that dared step into the ring with me. I spat at the floor. I spat at the poor, broken body of my former opponent as he was carried out of the cage. Is there none who can last against me? Come on, give me a fucking fight, I called out to the crowd. The Haitian announcer took a hold of the microphone, clearing his throat. Well, all these... The Haitian announcer took a hold of the microphone, clearing his throat. Well, at least he lasted 10 seconds. That's Iridic, folks, for you. That's Iridic for you, folks. The unbroken, undefeated terror of the underground. Are there any more who dare to challenge this beast tonight? Any who dare stand in the same place as him? And looked to the crowd, waiting for anyone to offer up either their champions or themselves. I have someone for you. A Mishtil stood up from the crowd. I looked towards him. He was beside a strange-looking creature I had not seen before. The creature wore some big baggy clothes and a short fabric tightly clinging to the skin of its legs. It looked to be almost handless, only if it weren't for the light fuzz scattered throughout its skin. The Mistral shook. The Mistral took out his card and walked down to the slider in front of the crowd, swiping it. I bet 50,000 credits on my fighter, he grinned, looking up at the screens. The number appeared on the screen just as you swiped his card. Well, that's an awful lot of money to bet there, feeling confident, the announcer grinned, a glint in his eye. No, actually, double it, 100,000 credits, he smirked, swiping his card a second time. All right, we got ourselves a big fight, everyone. Tell us your champion's name and species. Igor Donovan, Terran, from the planet Dirt, the Mistral smiled. Terran, you mean the new guys that just joined the Federation 2 months ago? This should be interesting, the announcer laughed darkly. Well, come on down, Mr. Igor Donovan, from Dirt. Your handler sure put a lot of money on you. Care to speak a few words before the fight? I watched as the Terran stand up. I watched as the Terran stood up from its seat and walked down to the front near the cage. It wasn't too tall, and instead of looking quite lanky, with its legs looking long and spindly instead of the thick supports most species had. How it even walked on those twigs was beyond me. The Terran took the mic as it was handed to him by the announcer. I am human, and it's earth, not dirt, he said, before handing it right back to the shooting. Before handing it right back and shooting a glance at me. Front-facing eyes, an aggressive gaze, a fellow predator. Finally, a real fight. I smiled as the human was ushered into the cage and walked right into his doom. I cracked my knuckles as I locked eyes with the upstart species. Not much was known about them yet, having just joined the Federation, so seeing one in an underground fight club was interesting, to say the least. The human took off his upper garments, revealing a rippling musculature. His arms looked bigger than they should be with his skeletal frame. His arms looked bigger than they should. His arms looked bigger than they should be with his... His arms looked bigger than they should be with his kind of skeletal frame. I was astonished. He was barely even my shoulder height, yet he looked just as menacing, condensed aggression in a small body. I chuckled. It looks like humans are much more than they seem. Fighters, ready, the announcer said. I nodded towards the human who returned the gesture. I steadied myself on all four of my legs, making myself as heavy as I could. Fight! I charged against the human, stomping my way across the arena, though to my surprise the human had already evaded, pivoting to my side. I felt an impact against my side as the human threw a fist as quickly as he had dodged. It didn't hurt as much, my large frame absorbing most of the impact. I glared at him, swiping my arm towards the human. Another dodge, and another. The human was flightly and surprisingly quick on his feet. How was this possible? He only has 2 legs. How is he not falling over? I charged again, throwing a punch, following up with another. The human glided across the floor, narrowly missing the first hit. However, he failed to dodge the other, opting to shield his face by raising his arms. My fist slammed into the human, the impact echoing across the arena. It nearly threw him off his feet. Still, the human was able to quickly follow his body's momentum and stay rooted to the ground. I gritted my teeth, getting frustrated. Why won't he go down? I went for him again, swiping and throwing as many punches as I could his way. The human blocked some and dodged the others, keeping his distance. It was then that I felt a sudden pain on my side, feeling the wind knocked out of me. The human had kicked my side as I threw a jab, knocking and attacking at the same time. The human had kicked my side as I threw a jab, blocking and attacking at the same time. Not only that, but he was balancing on a single leg. A single leg. What made him more ridiculous was that the human pulled his leg back in a swift motion and followed up with another kick using the opposite leg. This is insane. How can he fight like that? Not even other species, especially bipedal ones, thought to use their legs as weapons. My thoughts tried to catch up with the pain on my side as I jumped back, kicking all 4 of my legs against the floor. The human prowled around the arena, watching me like I was its prey. No! I can't let an upstart overtake me. The HFY are a proud warrior race. I charged in again, throwing another heavy punch. This time I stretched out my other arm to where I expected the human to dodge. True enough, the human attempted to leap towards the left, but my arm had blocked him. I brought my arm down, hammering into the human's skull with all my power. The human let out a pained grunt as it connected. Satisfaction slowly burned inside of me as I was able to elicit pain from the human. I followed through with another punch, hitting his side. Another. The human had finally folded, covering his vitals with his thick arms. I got him! Eat this! I tossed him around the ring, throwing him to the other side of the arena. The crowd cheered and screamed at the top of their lungs. The human rolled on the floor, hissing in pain. I had begun panting, my body slowly feeling heavier by the moment. There was a K. The human was about to be beaten. The win was mine, for sure. I walked over to the human and got a heavy kick while he was still down on the ground. Forfeit! You're beaten, human, I said. To my surprise, the human gave a soft chuckle and rolled away from his current position before getting back to his feet. He didn't even seem like the least bit tired. If anything, it looked like he was invigorated, brimming with energy. What in Gershek's name? The human lunged at me this time, making the crowd go wild. For such a small species, they carried a lot of weight, using momentum to their advantage. The human threw himself, his body colliding with mine. I let out a pained yelp as the impact surged across my entire being. It was enough to topple me, my legs unable to fight against the sudden force. Within moments, I found myself knocked to the ground with the human fighter on top. He wasted no time. Blow after blow, his fists came crashing down against my face, though not as heavy as the punches of the other heavyweight species. The sheer amount of blows nearly beat my face into a pulp. The volume, the speed, the power. In a desperate attempt, I twisted my body and brought down my arm to the human's side. The human went flying, crashing into the cage. My breathing had become erratic, my own blood in my mouth. I was sure the human had broken something somewhere with how much I was bleeding. I spat with the bright red decorating the ring. I whipped my head around to see where the human was. You're fucking kidding me. The human was back on his feet, not a hint of exhaustion on its face or body language. This Igor Donovan prowled around the arena again, keeping his arms up in a stance. "Isn't that all you got?" he spoke. He's mocking me. I tried to stand, but found my legs non-responsive. My arms shook as I pushed myself My arms shook as I pushed myself against the floor, my heart pounding in my chest. It became harder to breathe. Panting as fast as I can, it took a while, but by some miracle, I was able to get myself back on my feet. My head was getting dizzy. Come on me! Come at me, human! I yelled in defiance. The human grinned and ran towards me. He was so fast, it was like a blur as the human kept low as he charged. I didn't see it coming, the blow from under me. The human had exploded upwards, his hand fired up against my chin. The world suddenly looked upside down, but only briefly, before slowly turning dark. The crowd went silent as the human stood before me. I had lost. What a fight! These humans, they were monsters. Power tightly packed into a small frame, like a bullet. I closed my eyes and allowed my body to fall into unconsciousness. The era of the Hickatic had come to an end. End of story. Itchy.
Oops. Alrighty. I think that's going to be me for today. That's 3 hours. That is several stories. What was that? 8 stories? 8 videos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stories today. So, yeah, that's me for the day. Voice is a bit trashed, but not too much. Just enough. Thank you all for spending your time with me. It's very much appreciated, especially it's such an odd hour for most of you. And in such a time when everyone's vying for your attention, spending your time here is very much appreciated. I hope that you all have a fantastic day, night, afternoon, morning, whatever that may be for you. Then I'll see you all again tomorrow. Same time, same